Oh, golly gosh! I can't wait to get taught by Mr. Rodin. I heard he has really big muscles, and his intelligence is the size of those muscles. Oh, what a goody day. Oh yeah, it's supposed to make a scream.
You must be Tony if I am not mistaken.
Yes, Mr. Ronin.
Now, why did you miss the induction day?
I don't like getting kidnapped. It's such a waste of time.
That's abduction you're thinking of. Alright, get in. Alright, so this is our workspace. This is where a lot of the work gets done. There is 3 main panels. This is the compiler. This is basically just stuff that's tells you information about when the game is booting up and if something goes wrong. There are some layers and stuff, but to your right, this is where the stuff happens. These are our assets. Assets are basically things you can use just around your game. So the main kinds of assets we're going to be looking at today are objects and sprites. So sprites are basically manipulable images. Now we're going to do a lot more things with them in the next lesson, but for now we're just going to make basic sprites. Objects are basically, well, they're objects, but what they are is they can comprise of 2 main parts. They're sprite and their designated code. And their designated code comes in various events, which basically executes the code in various manners. So for example, the create event only runs the code when the object is created. This is typically used to define variables. The step event, which executes the code and maintains it every frame, and end step and begin step are step events but with lesser and higher priority respectively, and there's so much more we're going to be looking at throughout the series. But for now, what we're doing is we're going to make a simple platformer. Any questions?
Can you turn on subtitles? I'm having a hard time seeing you.
Yes. Yes, I will turn on subtitles.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rodin.
Now, okay, so first things first, we're just going to make 2 simple sprites. We're going to create a sprite, and this sprite shall be called our player character. What should we name our player?
Joe?
Who's Joe?
Joe Mama.
Alright. So we're going to make Joe. He's going to be a 16 by 16 square. And let's just edit image. I like the color blue, so let's make him orange. Alright. And we're going to just duplicate this. We're going to just name this S wall, and we're going to go to our wall, and we're going to edit it, and we're going to just color it gray. Alright, so we have the sprite for our player character and the sprite for our wall. So next, we're going to go into objects, and we're going to create a player object. So we're going to call our object Ojo. Now, one question I think some people are going to ask is, why do we put like the initial of the asset it is? You know, the reason why we do that is we make it easier for searching. So, you know, if we type S, all of our sprites would come up. You know, it's easier to find what you're looking for. And it's a good habit to do. So anyways, so we made our geo object and we clicked here into sprites and assigned them to our geo player. Oh, now I'm going to break the fourth wall. So one thing that I had to do, that is the entire reason that we're doing a second recording of this episode, is that our player doesn't have a collision mask currently, and neither does a wall, because Gamemaker's stinky smell. So we're going to manual, take one of the corners, drag it to cover the whole player, and repeat the same for a wall. Oh, it already did that. All right. So this is just something that is going to save. It's going to save you a lot of time, while I had to like spend a week re-recording this.
Yeah,
right?
would have
Tony?
saved us a lot of time.
Yes. So let's create our create event. So we're going to give it the description of defining variables. And I don't really believe I need to explain what a variable is, but it's basically like just a number assigned to something else. So I don't know the exact scientific or mathematic definition of a variable, but it's not that much. But anyways, ranting aside, so we're going to define 1, 2, 3, 4 variables, I think. So let's do that. So our two main variables are going to be HSP equals 0. Semicolon is the Gamemaker equivalent of a full stop. So yeah, VSP equals 0. Oops, I forgot to put the 0 there, but okay. So HSP stands for horizontal speed and VSP stands for vertical speed. You know, this is just a way to keep track of, you know, if our players are going left, right, up, or down, or both, or all, or neither. Then, since we're making a platformer here, and I love platformers, we're going to make a variable grv equals, this number is very adjustable. We'll make it 0.5. grv is our gravity, and yeah, you know, it's our gravity variable, and make sure so we fall. And yeah, it's our falling variable. And then the last one is walk SP. Now, Tony, in the very last recording of this, set it to 30, and it was stupidly disorienting. So we're going to make it 4.20.
Actually, speaking of 4.20, Mr. Ronan, can I use the bathroom?
I don't know. Can you?
Yes.
What the hell was that? That was the scripted joke. Alright, so we go to add event, step, and here is where our controls is going to be. So, yeah, we're going to just do our controls. So we're going to define 3 more variables that need to just be actively checked on the spot. Key underscore left equals keyboard underscore check VK underscore left. Then we're going to define probably the obvious one, key underscore right equals keyboard underscore check VK underscore right. Now, this is, so we made a variable that detects whether we're pressing left, and one that detects if we're pressing right. And now we're making key underscore jump equals keyboard underscore check, this time underscore pressed, VK underscore space.
Oh yeah, sorry. Why did we do check underscore pressed instead of just not doing that?
Basically, the difference is, key jump would be like, what would result is if we remove the underscore check pressed is, like, okay. God damn it, why am I stuttering? So, the main difference between check and check pressed is, it will be 1 when we've pressed it, and then it'll just immediately go back to 0, because, you know, it's only checking if we just pressed it and not if we're holding it. So what would happen if we got rid of that is our player would just constantly jump whenever they land on the ground when we're holding the jump button, and we don't want that.
No,
Do
I
we,
suppose
Tony?
we don't.
Yeah, funny red man doesn't do it. Why should lame orange square? Alright. So now we're going to do our directions. So var underscore move equals key right minus key left. And then HSP equals underscore move. So actually, HSP equals move times walk SP. There we go. So basically, HSP would either be equal to 4.20 or minus 4.20. No, actually, the 4.20 is actually a joke. We should make it just something like 5. Don't make your walking speeds decimals. It's just safer just to have it be a whole number.
Things start to get crazy
Right,
when you put it in
step.
with decimals, trust me.
Alright. So, in our end step, we're going to have our physics and stuff. I might have spelled psychics by accident. I probably did, but it doesn't matter. So, x equals x plus HSP. And now we go to our room, place our Joe, just somewhere where we can see him. and
Mr. Ronan, can we change our Joe from orange to black? I prefer that color.
but our background is black.
I don't really see the problem here.
Yes. Why do I have these students? Okay. Seriously, he got enough points to get in here? Okay. Yeah, how are you doing? How's your day?
Do you like sports?
That was just impeccably timed. I just have to say. Alright. So now we run our game. If you have a faster PC, this would take a way shorter amount of time. And as you can see, when we press left or right, our character moves left or right. And yeah, so let's add more stuff. All right. So as you've just seen, we have our player move horizontally, but one-dimensional platformers don't really sell well. Trust me, I've tried. And one thing I quite frankly forgot that we should be doing is, you see this little button next to the X button. Click it, boom, full screen coding, and F8 is to zoom in and F7 is to zoom out. But let's zoom in because I like seeing. All right. So in our step event, we're going to just make a variable that is going to be super useful to you. On ground equals place meeting x y plus 1 o wall. We should probably make our wall object. Objects create object o wall, and then let's give it a sprite of the wall, and there we go. Okay. So on ground basically returns a 0 if we're not on the ground, or 1 if we are. You know, it's just really useful. And yeah. So right. So we're going to have our horizontal collision. So it's going to be the following code. If place underscore meeting x plus hsp y o wall, and then we start bracket hsp equals 0. So basically it means if we're just running into a wall, it stops our horizontal momentum. Then we just have to do another part of code just to make sure. If while it's while not place underscore meeting x plus, we can make this look more perfect, doesn't really matter. Sign HSP y o wall and then we just x equals x minus sine h's x equals x plus sine x equals x plus sine HSP. And there we go. So that is our horizontal collision code. And we'll just move this down to here. Oh, I think there's an error with the brackets if I'm right. There we go, yeah. For every parentheses you open, you must close one. And now we just get to do the sacred Control C, Control V. Now we just move all the x plus HSPs to y plus VSPs. So let me just quickly check something.
Oh.
Shut up, Shawnee. Nobody asked you to chime in. Y equals y plus sine VSP. VSP equals 0. And y equals y plus VSP. So, all right. And the only other thing we need to add is VSP equals VSP minus GRV. All right. Now let's quickly test it. All right, so as we can see here, I just added some wall. Our horizontal collision is working, our vertical collision is working. We don't have a jump at the moment, so we'll add that later. But yeah, I think it looks pretty slick. It stopped recording automatically. That's lovely. Also, one thing of note, I keep getting my signs wrong. It's VSP equals VSP plus GRV. The reason why it's plus and not minus is Gamemaker works, it thinks of its coordinates from starting from the bottom, from the top right corner, top left. Having mild dyslexia sucks. But anyways, so the top left is 0, 0. So that means, going down is higher number, while going up is lower number. Do you understand? What don't you understand?
No.
Left
Which
would
way
be,
is left?
Left would be close. Left would be. God damn it, I'm dyslexic. That's the second time I said this episode, but left is
I've
closer to 0,
sabotaged
while
you.
right is farther away from 0. Yes.
Good to know, Mr.
You've been over
Ronan.
this, Tony. I have to meet you outside of class. But anyways, so now let's implement our jump. So we're going to do if on ground and key underscore jump. Then we open our parentheses. VSP equals like -5. And if we boot up our game, our character should now jump. Alright, so after booting up our game, when we press space, our character jumps. It's that simple. Alright, so going back into our room, we'll just lay down just some more walls. We'll make our grid 16 by 16 so we can have an easier time placing our walls. Let me just zoom in. There we go. So let's just make a little platformer section. Now, Tony, are you ready to be pop quizzed?
Yes, I am, Mr. Ronan. I've been studying.
Alright, so with our current code, how do we implement a double jump?
So, Mr. Ronan, what you want to do is cry because you don't know the answer.
Wrong.
Oh man, I
So-
was sure I had it.
Alright, so, yeah. So every episode, I will pop quiz Tony on something he doesn't know, which is an additional neat thing you can learn. So, here's how we can easily and quickly create a double jump. So we go to the create event, and we create a variable called jumped, and we'll have it equal to false. And then we will have if on ground. Sorry, let me just close that bracket. Jumped equals false. And then what we do is we create a third if statement, if not on ground and key jump. So currently what we're doing is we're checking if we're not on the ground and we've pressed the jump button, but also and if we haven't already jumped in the air, so if not jumped, then VSP equals -5. Alright, so after like nearly half an hour, we've made a square that can double jump. Very fancy. And we've probably gave Tony a heart attack because I pop quizzed him. And yeah. So next lesson, we're going to learn about sprites, animation, and what we can do with them. And I hope to see you next week, and if I don't, we've probably done something stupid while during recording. Tony, any last words?
Goodbye.